آزادی بیان.
言论自由
Free speech.
Let's come back to the ugly sisters, Sopa and Pipa.
Yes.
Tell us, if you will, why you see this as such a threat to the global dissemination of knowledge that for the first time, I think this is right in the history of English Wikipedia, you had a 24-hour blackout?
Yes, first time ever, yeah. So Sopa and Pipa, I like the not Pippa, the ugly sister. So just to set the context, one of the things that has been quite wonderful U.S. policy for a few years now has been to argue firmly against censorship in various states around the world, even going so far as to funding projects to create software or to support projects that already existed to help people who live in countries where there's DNS filtering get around those blocks so that people can access the information they want. Great, I think that's fabulous work, wonderful. And so it's quite ironic then that this bill, at least in some versions, contemplated setting up DNS filtering in the US and also had a provision banning methods for technical circumvention, i.e. the very projects that the US government is funding. So that's a red flag before a bull in front of the internet community, particularly our community. There's a lot wrong with these bills. The reason, the stated reason, which I think is actually the reason here, is to try to combat piracy. There's a lot of money that flows into Washington from Hollywood. Hollywood is very concerned about the problems of piracy. They are, unfortunately, in my view, quite prone to exaggerating the size of the problem. One convenient way to exaggerate the size of the problem is you get some reasonable estimate for how many people have downloaded a movie for free, illegally, and then you multiply that times the retail price of a DVD, and you claim you lost that much money. Well, if you're an economist, you know the amount of consumption at price zero is much higher than the amount of consumption at $35, and so it's not reasonable to think they would have sold all those copies. It is reasonable, though, to think that they would have sold some of those copies, and that, in fact, piracy has cost them some money, but they tend to overstate the total amount. My view is that the solution to this can't start with thinking about ways of censoring the internet, thinking about ways to block access to things. First of all, it's completely hopeless. The internet it just doesn't work that way. There are so many ways that people can get access to this information. It can be underground, it can be on websites, it can be everywhere. That approach isn't really going to be economically sensible. One of the things I think that we should see instead is that Hollywood needs to wake up to the global world and wake up to the digital world. And I'll just give a personal example. My daughter is 11 years old and an absolute super geek. She's so cool and awesome. And as it turns out, I've been completely remiss as the father of a super geek in one aspect of her education. She's never seen Star Wars. She's not seen a single Star Wars movie. I mean, it's horrible. I'm more of a Trekkie myself, so she's seen loads of Dr. Trek. Of Star Trek, and actually she got me into Doctor Who, I'm happy to say. I've just watched 6 seasons of Doctor Who this year. But she's never seen Star Wars. So, okay, for Christmas I bought her, here in London, she was over for Christmas, I bought her Blu-ray DVDs of the digitally remastered, because I've got a nice big TV. So. And I thought, oh, this is great, and we'll watch it on the plane on the way home. I'm taking her back to Florida, and we stick the disc in her computer, and her computer doesn't have Blu-ray. Okay, well, that's annoying enough, but then I think, okay, well, she can just take them home and watch it at her mother's house. Oh, wait, actually, the DVD's region encoded, so she can't watch it in America. I can't rip it on my computer. We have no way of watching these discs. I mean, I just bought Frisbees, you know? And so I thought, well, I don't care. I mean, I met George Lucas, and I love him. I love Star Wars, and I'll give the man even more money because he's not rich enough. And so I thought, I'll just go on iTunes, and I'll just buy the first movie so we can watch it on the plane on the way home. iTunes doesn't have it. So here's a customer who I paid for it already. All I want to do is watch it with my little girl. I'll pay for it again. You don't sell it there. I was stymied. And of course, my daughter's looking at me with sort of a funny look like, Dad, why don't we just go on BitTorrent? And I'm like, I don't go on BitTorrent. But you feel morally tempted when you go, I already paid for the freaking thing and I can't watch it.
So give us the conversation in your head when she says, as it were, go on BitTorrent.
All I can think of is the headlines in the lawsuit, Jimmy Wales sued for stealing. I just can't. Even if I'm tempted, it's just like, no, I don't pirate. And
so it's not the still small voice of conscience so much as...
Not after I already paid, you know? I mean, it's really hard to morally condemn someone in that set of circumstances where, due to their restrictions, I can't use what I paid for already. Now, having said that, I think that even if Hollywood becomes more digitally savvy, they stop with all the restrictions, they make it easier to buy the content that you want, there will still be some piracy.